Well, what is up? Please let me know if you can hear me. There are some times where I think I got wrong. You can restart. You can go and begin again. That's what we got to do here. There was a little, if you're just joining me, I had a little technical issue. You know where you don't get to do that? It's in a fight. And that's the beauty of a fight. Even though a rematch is another fight, it is a completely separate experience. And although you fought before, you get to fight tonight, and that's it. What happens next time, what might have happened, what you could have done different, none of that matters even slightly when you go to fight. It is tonight, in this moment here. And I've talked with Chael Sonnen about that a lot. And nobody knows that more than Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, guys at this level. It doesn't matter what if I only did this, or maybe that happened, or instead of this, or I didn't quite slip on that banana peel. We made the agreement to meet at this time, in this place, in this cage, lit at that broadcast here, and this is the only time we'll get to do it. Again, a rematch is not the same thing. We may get to do it again, but that is a separate experience, and they get to do that this time. What we are going to talk about today is so fun. There's something about big fights with interesting people, with unique characters like these guys, unique martial artists, where you get to examine some very special things. A friend of mine was about to interview Conor McGregor this week, and he's like, what should I talk to him about? I'm like, well, don't ask him about calf kicks. That is a narrative for the audience, for us, far less important to Dustin, his coaches, Conor, his coaches. But people ask me about that a lot, which led me to want to discuss this today, which I think is going to be really interesting. I really do. We are discussing something known as the hierarchy of defense. If you haven't heard of this, it's existed probably hundreds and hundreds of years, these simple concepts of how to defend. It doesn't matter. People, what about the calf kick, bro? Doesn't matter if it's a calf kick, a shoulder strike, eye poke, a bite, in real fighting, a hit with a club. It doesn't matter. The hierarchy of defense is the same. So what will Conor do about calf kicks? We just go back to the hierarchy of defense. And we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be super awesome. So we'll take some questions much later. But for now, I've got some fun stuff to talk to you about. Okay, the very first thing I want to talk about, again, the discussion of calf kicks initiated this conversation. But rather than, we humans have the tendency to focus on very conspicuous things. So if something's very bright colored, that'll be the important thing, even though the dim colored thing over here could be actually functionally more important. Oh my God, look, there's a bright blue or yellow or shiny thing, but these things are actually more important. And the answer doesn't lie in what do we do about calf kicks. Also, so I want to talk a little bit about some misconceptions about the first fight. And misconceptions often happen by narratives, by also doing something called resulting. So the result happened, and we say, this means this. This happened because of this. Conor's leg was fucked. Dustin landed some big punches on him. Therefore, the calf kicks were the most important thing, right? Conor boxed too much, didn't do calf kicks. That's a nice package. It packages up nice. But when we package things up too nice, we miss the really important things, right? So backtrack. If you talked to Dustin about it earlier, hey, how's this fight going to go? He and his coaches would have 100 possible discussions. We're going to be on top of him. We'll be against the cage. We'll try to catch him in triangle from the bottom. We'll land elbows. There'd be 1,000 things. What they wouldn't have said is, well, fuck this guy's calf up. We'll make that nerve dead, and then we'll knock him out, because it was just one of 1,000 possibilities. A huge misconception is that Conor handled them poorly. Conor became damaged. That's real. But I've been tasked with, I do it for television, for the broadcast partner. I can't share UFC shit anywhere else, because they're from the fucking year 1912 or whatever, technologically, strategy-wise. Not to be rude. It's their business. But so you can't share this stuff. But I do it in Canada. I work for the broadcast partner. And when you go and you take these leg kicks, we will discuss it in the hierarchy of defense. But Conor handled them extraordinarily well. There just happens to also be a nerve on the outside that can be accessed. If you happen to hit it, often it's been hit recently because people are spamming each other with calf kicks, you can do damage. We then say, oh my God, calf kicks are like this devastating weapon. If I kick you in the eye, I can make you not see. If I break your nose, I can make you not breathe. If I kick you in the small bones of the arm, I can make you not punch. Yes, not being able to move is bad, but having your liver smashed and you not being able to fight, it's just another tool. It's just another tool. It's popular like a fashion, but it's not anything different. But so let's get into the hierarchy of defense here. So people are like, what do we do? What are you going to do about Conor's shoulder strike? How do you handle Conor's big left hand? It's a normal size left hand. He just uses energy really well. He's got a very special musculature and technical skill to be able to hit hard. That's a conversation maybe for later, but he doesn't have crazy power. He has incredible skill. He's a skillful man, able to gather energy and elastically express it through his knuckles. It's not magic, it's skill. So that's a discussion for another thing. How do we handle this punch? What do we do about the calf kicks, Robin Black? Oh my God, what are we going to do? We are going to use a hierarchy of defense. So I'm going to start there are options that we will choose against any weapon: club, punch, eye poke, calf kick, groin shot, throat punch, spinning back kick, knee. It doesn't matter. We have a conceptual hierarchy of defense. This is an old philosophy, an old structural knowledge. I didn't invent it. It's probably hundreds of years old. And even before whoever first started discussing the hierarchy of defense, it would have existed in other forms. So our fifth best option. This is our fifth best option in the hierarchy of defense. Take. Okay. So we're going to learn. Somebody's going to kick my thigh, for example. I may turn it outwards. I might put weight onto my leg. They're going to punch me in the head. I may dip my head down to take it off the top. They might try to punch me in the body. I cannot move, but maybe I'll take it off the elbow. That's also a bit more of another one, but I'll take it somewhere else. Or, where you see guys get hit and they brace for it. Take. That is our fifth best option. Another way to put it would be that is our worst option. That is a worst defensive option. Take. Punch is coming, take it somewhere a little tougher. Kick is coming, take it somewhere a little tough. Brace myself, prepare myself. Take. When you take shots, you take damage. It's better than nothing, but it's only a little better than nothing. Moving progressively to our preference, what we would do if given the chance, slightly above take, is block. Somebody's trying to punch me in the head. My worst option is take it off the hard bones. My second worst option is try to block it. Why is that bad? I'm still taking a jarring impact. We've seen people knocked unconscious. Blocking, foot wraps around, hits, jars the head, breaks my arm. I'm still taking damage. Kick comes, take, brace for it, get my ribs ready, block. We think we're like, oh my God, he blocked the kick. Second worst thing you can do. Okay, I know this might seem like new information. Always keep your hands up. Second worst in the hierarchy of defense. So, but this is our belief, right? Why? We're getting our information from an entertainment broadcast that happens super fast, that has other objectives like sell pay-per-views, keep people excited, get ratings, tell stories, whatever. We're not getting, the truth. You don't get the truth in the news. You don't get the truth in sports broadcasting. You just get what you get. Always keep your hands up, block that kick. Second worst thing you can possibly do. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's a calf kick. Doesn't matter what it is. Kick's interesting because our block, potentially, this is our second worst choice. Block the punch, boom. Block the kick, boom. Still bad, real bad. People, I'm going to go on a tangent for a moment. I'll show taekwondo and I'll show spinning kicks, all this beautiful stuff. People be like, bro, why don't they keep their hands up? Because this doesn't do shit for you when you get taking a spinning heel kick here. Instead, what it does is it makes you move less. So they will raise some of the lower hierarchies. I'll show the better ones to give up one of the worst ones. Blocking, one of our worst defensive systems. We're going to give that up to use some better defensive systems. So when This is how you know somebody just watches television and thinks that's real fighting. When they'll be on the taekwondo thing or whatever, and they'll say, "Bro, number one lesson: keep your hands up." That's a number one lesson for a novice. That's not a real thing. It's not a real martial arts rule. It is a very low level rule because blocking is our second worst defensive choice. Right now, what's really fascinating about kicking is we can use our block to also, there's a subcategory here. So blocking of a kick in some ways gives you an extra benefit because it can do what's called limb destruction. Chris Weidman's leg broke in half, Anderson Silva's leg broke in half. There's been many. There's some all the time. This is not a rare occurrence, by the way. It's just rare because if you only watch the mainstream corporate broadcasts on television, on ESPN, you don't see it that often. But if you're in Thailand, you see it more. But actually, over time, that goes away because people stop fucking kicking each other's calves because it ain't free. It's dangerous. So our second worst option, our block, this is one of the misconceptions of the last fight. I was tasked with pulling video and telling the truth of this for TSN, the broadcast partner, and in Canada where I live. And there's a lot of the kick comes and Connor turns the shin outwards and takes the kick. He could break. He was this close. And so the storyline when we're taking the result, Connor lost, and we're extrapolating it back. We're like, he sucks at leg kicks, bro. He doesn't suck at leg kicks. There were 2 or 3 where he got the shin all the way out, right? All the way out. Then there were also times where he grabbed it after getting the shin all the way out. If you go back and look at it, I know most people don't spend their whole life studying martial arts and having, that looking for the truth of it. Then the truth is much different than what you hear in a sports broadcast. But he did well. Just because he was knocked out and had an injured leg did not mean that he didn't show a ton of exceptional reactions to it. I've got to get my stupid dog here. Give me a second. He's a sweet little creature, but he is old. Okay, you jump up and nip it. There we go. My apologies. He's 15 years old, and it's just the most painful sound when you hear him crying. Thank you for hanging. So, yes, he did very well with the calf kick. Now, people are spamming each other with these weapons. So if you do well 6 times, but you take 3 bad ones, well, that's bad. But when you take in the full information, there were times where he checked with the shin. So second worst option in all of fighting, defensive option in the hierarchy of defense is block. It's the 4th best or the 2nd worst. Next along our hierarchy of defense, redirect. Now in boxing, we might call it parry. But what we are meaning is something is coming towards you, a weapon is coming towards you, a kick is coming towards your leg. You're able to not only take it, our worst choice, or block it, our 2nd worst choice, but you're able to redirect it. So in a punch, we may parry it out of the way. And in a kick, we may see, and you'll see this often, kick comes, scoop to the side. Redirect, because I've taken this weapon and I've taken it out of attacking me, but I may have also gained other things. When I sweep that leg to the side, you might be off balance. Something Connor did extremely well was turn the shin towards him and then catch it. Now, he'd already sustained some nerve trauma, but his redirection was to grab. When you lift that leg now, I got a guy on one leg. If I haven't been damaged, we went from you firing a weapon to me having you in a bad position. Fuck, that's pretty legit. Did well. Did very well. Again, he lost. That's true. He injured his leg due to the exceptional attack of Dustin Poirier. That's also true. But he did very well with many of those kicks is also true. And now that truth, now you're like, oh, I caught these 2, I checked these 2, did pretty well considering it was sort of a low priority. Now it's going to be, let me throw this out to you. Again, our worst, take, boom, take the shot. 2nd worst, block the shot. Third worst or 3rd best, going to redirect that kick. This is our hierarchy of defense. Why is it better? We're redirecting it. We're taking little or no damage. took a lot of damage, block, took a lot of damage. We see guys blocking kicks. Oh, kick's blocked. Kick's not blocked. Got fucking kicked in the small bones of the arm. And I know most of us have never been kicked by Anthony Johnson in the bones of our arm, but trust me, most of us would break both of our arms. The 205 pounders who've been building it up take extreme damage blocking those kicks. Redirect, better, taking very little damage. Much better now. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Evade. This is prime defense. So again, how do we handle Conor's left hand? We can take it, terrible. We can block it, terrible. We can redirect it, excellent. And what if we put him off balance while redirecting it, or surprise him while redirecting it? Same thing. We can take that calf kick, bad. We can block it, bad. But we can do damage to him. It's this variation with the shin bone that isn't present in many. Other types of block, you can block the forearm, you can block the body. There is damage. Bruce Lee called it limb destruction. You can do limb destruction through the process of your fourth best defensive choice. We can redirect. I'm not taking damage now. And as well, maybe I'm affecting you. And then next, evade. Again, I was breaking this down. There's a moment, and this was wonderful. There are a couple of wonderful exchanges in this fight, just beautiful between two wonderful martial artists. I know I said wonderful like 3 or 4 times there, but two incredible martial artists. Dustin throws a low kick. Conor slides out of the way. Conor answers with a left hand. Dustin pulls and answers with a right hook. They're both evading. This is it. This is martial arts at its best, and that is how they should both be dealing with each other where possible. I'm gonna go back for a second. Why will Nate Diaz take this? Because he knows where you are. You're on the end of his punch. He's standing here. There is some other. In choosing our 5th best defense, we may gain an offensive thing. Why might we block? This is our 2nd worst choice, but in blocking, we may be able to answer. We know where you are. We're putting ourselves into firing, et cetera, et cetera. Evade, I've got to bounce out and bounce back in. But in one of the great moments of this last fight, like I said, calf kick comes from Dustin Poirier. Conor McGregor bounces out, something he's always been great at through his whole career. Slides back in with his left hand. Dustin pulls back and counters with checking him with the right hook. What's amazing about that, we must now learn. In the 2nd round, a very similar thing happens, but you see Conor fake the left to get Dustin to check with the right, to throw the next left, to throw his own right jab, or finishing with his straight right from southpaw. This push and pull happening throughout the fight. So while we're all sitting here going, what do we do about calf kicks? The game is so much more beautiful than this. We're getting distracted by things because they seem important. And this is something that this is true for, of course, fighting, but true of most media. We discuss things we can measure or see or discuss. We act as if they are important, but we are not measuring them or discussing them because they're important. I really like the PFL. We have it on TSN here in Canada. They're measuring a lot of things. Some of them they're measuring because they can be measured. Baseball's done this. This is a sports thing and a science thing. Baseball is like, oh, we can measure all of these things. We're going to make them stats. They're not necessarily important. We can believe they're important if we like, but they're not necessarily important just because we can measure them. Right. And this is something we see a lot in fighting. So the 2nd best choice we have against the calf kick, the left hand, whatever, is we will evade it. Ideally, each of these is a podcast, is a chat all their own. The ideal when we evade is put ourselves into a position where we can hit still, which is why that exchange between Conor and Dustin is one of my favorite exchanges for the last few years. Conor slides out. He comes back in. Dustin slides out. He comes back in. Later in the fight, Conor adds another layer to that. That's what's happening. This is what's going on when you got two geniuses at their best, continually getting better and continually dialed in, like Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. This is what you're getting. Don't become distracted with, what do we do about a calf? Oh my God, there's a nerve there. Well, yeah, but there's fucking nerves everywhere. The eyes get poked, breathing is affected, livers get damaged, growing. Like, this whole thing is fucking vulnerable. We're humans. Humans are vulnerable. Professional fighters have weapons to attack vulnerable areas. One of them is a calf, right? So evade, we want to not be there and be in a place where we could hurt the other guy. And hopefully in our evasion, we could make him off balance. There's so many layers to this. And of course, the very best is intercept. And this, I'm pretty sure it's Corey, who's now in Bellator, is awesome fighter, Corey Anderson. Jan Blachowicz, Corey's throwing a calf kick, Jan punches him up. You're going to see a fuckload of this happening. When people throw a calf kick, the rear hand is going with the rear foot to the front calf. The rear hand of the kickee is going to knock that guy out. The interception, a right kick to a left thigh, the low hanging counter is a long right hand. The left kick, the right kick to the left calf, the overhanging, the low hanging counter is the overhand right or the deep right or a leaning right. That will knock out a bunch of guys mid kick. It's already happening. You just don't. It's only happened 8 or 9 times. We need it to happen 20, and we need a famous person for it to happen until it becomes the conversation. But this is already by the time Dustin hurt Conor's calf kicks had been a thing for 7 years. They were only a thing for 7 months in mainstream discussion, but every gym in the world, that was a thing. Now, a lot of people are tentative about it because their training partners are landing counters on them. We'll call them counters, but they're interceptions. You're doing something and I'm doing something and you hit me as it's happening. The very best in the hierarchy of defense, this is our best choice. Now, again, we'll see often when I post, Taekwondo is a big one. You'll see these guys with their hands down. When I put Michael Venom Page, of course, is big for this. Anderson Silva, lots. When I put my hands down, I have removed the fourth best or second worst choice, but I've improved 2 and 1. My hands are down. Punch is coming up from underneath your peripheral. I am giving up this garbage defense that the novices think are real. And when you're in the gym, keep your hands up. Everybody keep your hands up. Always keep your hands up. Nonsense. Fucking nonsense. That's not true in martial arts. It's true for novices, and it's true for novice talkers and novice watchers and novice debaters, but it's not true. We'll give up the fourth higher in the hierarchy of defense to improve the second, because I'm not getting hit, I'm not getting hurt, I'm able to move better. And then, of course, this being the best. Michael Venom Page is a genius at this. He's won. Stephen Thompson will be fighting also Saturday. That's awesome. And Conor McGregor, and so is Dustin Poirier. So here is our hierarchy of defense, and we will apply that always. There's a lot here. There's a lot of useful stuff here. This is all truthful. Every good martial artist will tell you this. This is a foundational concept and how, and there are exceptions. Some people are so good with this and they've toughened up their body in such a way that when they take it, you are on the end. If you throw a kick and I take it, you are in range on 1 foot. I may prioritize this and rarely use this. In the older days, these were the big ones. In UFC 1 to 100, those were the big ones. People got better at this, and then this is where it's at when everybody's fucked, breaking your legs and smashing your arms. And, we're going to have broken backs and pelvises and stuff because people are able to do a lot of damage. We want to be evading, or we want to be impaling or intercepting. We can take a couple questions. Like a goalkeeper that only guards one side of the goal. Bait. You will bait things. Wonder Boy shows hands down can work a lot. Of course it can work a lot. The shit we are in the world of what we call MMA, which is a very Western initiated sport martial art. We're fucking rudimentary, right? We're very rudimentary. and our belief and our understanding is white belt level, right? Of what can happen. And do you think Dustin getting the jump on Connor's timing was more pivotal? It's all, again, a lot of the time we're looking for a thing, and that's what's done on TV. What was the most important thing? Well, it was the catch. Well, it was his timing. Well, it was the defense. Well, it was range. That's not reality. Those are talking points. We've learned to talk and think this way because television, sports, news, entertainment has taught us that this is how to think. It's not real, right? It is not. The goal of finding the key element is a television thing. That's not how humans thought pre-Sports Center. And it's not how we will think if we dismiss that and dismiss that, that line of thinking. A lot of really kind things. Yeah. I found it interesting at Connor's Corner weren't too concerned about the leg kicks and didn't seem, yeah. So I've had conversations with people that were in that cage and in that corner and stuff. And I've had conversations with other people connected to this in similar situations. Most of the time when you're training and you both have shin guards on, you think the guys who can't move when they get kicked are pussies. That's what you believe because you've never experienced it yourself. So, and that's true of all, you get 1,000 guys and women, and if the 100 of them who've had their leg fucked up and they can't move are like, holy shit, that's real. The other 900 are like, I don't know what's wrong with those people until it's you. Is this strictly for MMA? No, this is martial arts. Boxing is martial arts. Okay. The Philly shell. And I mean, the Philly shell is, again, us trying to label things that are highly complex. But what is that? Well, sometimes he takes, shoulder, elbow blocks, parts of his body are redirecting, his head is evading, and he's hitting you. What we call, this is a great question, what some of us will call the Philly shell, and again, we don't need to label everything because when we do, we think it's a thing and it's an ever-changing thing. But that concept is all of them, right? That concept is all of them. That's fucking cool when you think about it. Yeah, lots of great, cool, with McGregor obviously struggling with his cardio. Not true. Recently? What do you mean recently? The Nate Diaz fight is the only one where we've seen a guy say, that must be something I should focus on against one of the great energy system guys ever. And obviously it worked. This is a narrative. This is not true. This is not true. One exception makes it into genetics plays a role. Surely he must make it top priority, of course. But it's also, again, cardio is a thing we label. Your ability to manage your energy. There are multiple energy systems, aerobic, anaerobic, ATP, CP. You're burning sugars, you're burning different fuels, you're using your lungs in different ways, recovery, how you use that minute, how you exert. The fittest guy on planet Earth, if you push him to 100 and you make him anaerobic at 100, he'll be burnt out in 2 minutes, right? So it becomes a psychological management too. So saying this guy's cardio is harming our ability to truly understand that that's not a thing. Cardio is not a thing. Cardio is a term we use as a catch-all for 30 things, all interconnected and all changing moment to moment. So, cardio is something you do when you want to lose some weight, you jump on a bike or a treadmill. Use of energy systems, recovery of energy systems, anaerobic capacity, aerobic ability, ability to properly optimize the use of oxygenated hemoglobin in the blood. These are fucking complex things, but we live in a world, and it's, again, this is a result of growing up being taught by TVs how to think and examine the world. We think things are simple. We think incredibly complex things are simple. And in fact, I see this often. I'll discuss something truthfully. Hey, look, here's 5 aspects of a 800-year-old line of thinking, probably thousands of years of line of thinking, of truthfulness in how defensive systems work. And people will be like, this guy overcomplicates things. No, we're living in a world that has oversimplified complex things. It's made us fucking dumber. It's made us dumber, right? And I'm not trying to pick on you, Super Call 007, at all. Yeah, we're also hearing it in sound bites on television, and you're only able to write it in sound bites on Twitter and here. So it's not anyone's fault. This is systemic. This is the world we're living in. Love the Gracie's style to clinch, weaken, damage, provoke, choke, and submit. Yeah, that's a line of process. If they don't work, you can move off on different flow charts. But when you fatigue somebody, and my last fight, my 9th fight, that was the strategy, because I had many weaknesses in my ability to perform. But once I trained a lot, I was in unbelievable shape. My coach today, one of my coaches, I was talking to him today, Evan Boris, he's one of Henry's guys. And he honestly said, Robin, do you know anyone who ever worked harder than you? I said, yeah. And he goes, no, honestly, I've worked with hundreds of them. Do you know anyone who worked harder than you? I was like, yeah, Mark Hominick. He goes, yeah, Anthony Johnson and Michael Chandler, and that's it. He's like, I've worked with 1,000. You're probably number 5. I'm like, holy fuck, thanks. He goes, and you lost more than you won. Hard work is not going to be enough. So, and a lot of it is performance. A lot of it is your mind. Most of it is your mind. Some of us just aren't cut out to go in to ride in on a horseback with a flaming sword, right? So I had to make it as safe as possible for my mind to be capable of performing well. And the best way to make it safe was make that guy fucking exhausted. And that is how I won my 9th fight. I just fatigued him excessively, and I was in unbelievable shape. And it's a really nice way to fight, because you are, as the fight's going on, it becomes safer and safer. You become stronger and stronger, and he becomes weaker and weaker. It's a brilliant way to fight. But this was when I was fighting. They'd say, "What's the game plan?" And I'm like, keep it standing. They're like, "That's not a game plan. What's the game plan?" Kick the legs. That's not a game plan. Those are dreams. Those are tactics. But game plans, what we call a game plan. His game plan is going to be to keep it standing and land that punch. It's like, that's not a game plan. Like a game, it's just something we say in television. That's a TV narrative game plan, right? So good question here. Feint, by the way, for everybody involved, is FEINTS. And I see it, no judgment, Jay Perrin. Most people are spelling this right. Feints are overthought of, over-discussed, and not understood at all. I've got a chat with Stephen Thompson that's going to be up on Haymaker's YouTube in the next couple of days. We talked about this. You'll hear young coaches go, more feints, more feints, more feints. More horseshit feints are not better than less horseshit feints. Feints are not just do a thing like distract. That's, again, super low level, the lowest level. If you're against somebody who doesn't know how to fight and you start doing this a lot, it'll overload them. You do it to Steven, he'll just fucking punch you out, right? A feint, think of a feint like a card trick or like a sleight of hand movement. If I do a card trick on you that I've been practicing for 4 months, it'll work. You'll be like, holy fuck, he did pull out the ace. If I try it on Penn and Teller, they'll kick me in the face, right? Because it doesn't work on them. It's bullshit, right? So more feints against somebody to whom they aren't effective. They must be real. There's almost no such thing as a feint at the highest level. There's real and real that you slightly pull at the last second. Just pretending I'm gonna fake the takedown and then land my overhand right. That works in the gym against blue belts. That doesn't work. Dan Henderson did it to such a degree that maybe he could still make it work against a young guy, but probably not, because it's just so rudimentary. Why don't you see Superman punches anymore? Because most people would rather be most people would rather have one come at them than be forced to throw one, because they know it's not convincing anymore. It's bullshit. Gonna throw a leg kick and then fake a leg kick and throw a punch. It's so rudimentary that it barely works. Now, when it gets forgotten about for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and nobody's bothering to train it anymore. Nobody's bothering to throw it because it doesn't work. It'll work because you're no longer becoming sensitized to it. It'll be like, oh, that old thing. Oh, I can't believe you caught me, especially with a variation. My guy, Stephen Wonderboy, and I try not to do this all the time. I am a monster fan, but I try to, this is my guy and this is my guy. But my guy, Stephen Wonderboy, was knocked out by my guy, Anthony Pettis, with a modified Superman punch on a different angle. It had been left lying on the floor for so many years with a slight modification, worked again, even against a genius like Stephen. Okay, so I may have just touched on this. You are not dumb, first of all, F50, but that won't work against. If we can think, hey, what if I do this and this? These guys there's so many layers, thousands of layers of understanding, and their brains being like literally, let me hit it to you this way. When a fastball pitcher throws a pitch, the fastball hitter hits it and sees it and knows where it's going to be. But the rest of us just see this. And if you threw 9,000 fastballs at me, I would hit none of them. And even though I'd be learning. So why is he hitting it? Because over time, his brain starts to, independent of conscious thought, read the patterns of the body and extrapolate that to knowing where the ball will be in 1/100th or 1/10th, I don't know what the math is, of a second, and then begin the mechanics of the swing and adapt to slight changes as it happens and as new information is coming in real time and hit that ball. What if that pitcher faked low and then threw high? Fuck, it's so many layers of interpretation. We're being led to believe in the speed at which, television presents fighting or news or fucking football or politics, that we understand it, but we don't at all. Right? It's also, and that's okay. Sometimes it's just games. There are people who call themselves MMA analysts. They don't even do martial arts. They are playing the role of a television analyst. I believe the goal is actually analyze martial arts and then see if there's a way to make that fit in TV. Not create a televised role that somewhat does this. That doesn't make any sense to me. This is how we're getting to fucking QAnon and all these crazy things. And I know it sounds crazy if anybody analyzes martial arts and doesn't do it in martial arts. And when I say you doing this is similar to people who create conspiracy theories on the internet, but inadvertently it is. When you start filling in the blanks, always keep your hands up. Okay, we just told the non-truth. He's got crazy knockout power in both hands. No, he doesn't. No one has power. His hands don't have power. Like, we're just saying over and over non-truths, right? So when we are saying these things, we're missing 99% of the information, and we're taking 1% and then trying to find answers within that 1%. I think it's all of this speculation. Every fight is different. Could be 0 calf kicks. Yep. I would like you to predict this fight regardless of where the two fighters are now. And they're like, I can't do that. I don't see the future. I don't know the future. I have no idea how this fight will go. And if you asked Dustin how the last fight would go, he would not have predicted that. And he's in it. Like, how can anybody do it? Is it safe to say this battle is sniper versus machine gun? No. No, and again, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but you are being taught to talk in Sports Center, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC lines of thinking, trying to find a simplified thing. Why do we do that in television? Why am I told to do that? Why, over time, we're trying to do this less and do it more creatively and do it more interesting, but we're trying to make it simple. Over time, for 30 years, we've been trying to make things simple. Oh, it's just this versus this. Try to make a concise narrative. We have made the world dumber through this action. We have purposefully taken a beautifully complex, nuanced world, and we've made people seek ways to find it simpler. If Conor loses, do you think it will change the way fans perceive him in the sport? I don't know, but I do know this. He doesn't care. Or he doesn't care as much as we care or think we would care. Over time, the only way you can become one of these people is you must be able to release the opinions of others. It has to be that way. Yeah, of course, every now and again, you drink too much and you're on Twitter and you get mad. Or it's just been pushed to such a limit that you revert back to a more primal, fuck you too. If you're not in there, of course he would do that, or I would do that, or, fucking your favorite rapper would do that. People do it. But to be successful, you must release the perceptions of others. It's hard. And think of this just for us. It's hard enough in our own minds to really, really be able to work with our own thoughts, right? Our thoughts are complicated and they're overwhelming. And the world is throwing information at us in very weird ways. We're being taught things. We're being taught to believe things that are not necessarily true. And so think of how hard it is to manage your own thoughts. It is. All of us, no matter what your life is like, it's complicated. So it's hard enough to do that. So what the fuck do you care what's going on in somebody else's trip? That's his or her trip. Conor McGregor cannot possibly allow himself, Dustin Poirier cannot allow himself, George St. Pierre, to be worried about the opinions of others. You cannot be, for any length of time successful. And I don't just mean winning fights or selling records or fucking, whatever, being out selling tables, creating apps. I mean, being successful in life, being happy, healthy, able to function if you're concerned with the thoughts of others. That applies to all of us. It applies to all of us. I swear to you, if you can free yourself from being concerned with what others think of you, your life improves immediately. Look at my fucking stupid haircut. I'm a 50-year-old man. Would I have my hair like this if I cared what anyone else thought? No, but I like it. Right? When I sit here, I have built somehow like a very successful business, analyzing martial arts in my own weird way. If I was concerned 2 years ago when all anybody said was everything I said made no sense, and because I was a bit too far down some road of my own, everyone was like, I got a lot of negative feedback about I open my mouth, but I don't say anything. But now it sounds like I'm saying something, doesn't it? If I concerned myself with that and I went back to striker versus grappler in a stylistic matchup, this one's going to be fucking fireworks. If I did that, I wouldn't be sitting here happily able to fucking make a good living doing cool shit. You can't worry about what other people think. And that applies to McGregor. It applies to Dustin Poirier. Dana White sometimes appears to somewhat care. And of course, he has a big audience that he's selling a product to. He's red and stressed a lot of the time. Right now, of course, 90% of the time he doesn't. He can't. Otherwise, he would do no business. He would just be, but in his short batches of getting that, it's stressful. It's not good for you. Game plans are useless. Is it reaction and preparation? So this is a fun one. Let's make a little banner of this. Reaction versus response. So this is my own thinking. I don't know if this is entirely agreed with people or entirely like actual, psychological science. To me, a reaction is the thing that you'll do when I do this. That is a reaction. And again, I don't know if this is biologically accurate or this is my rudimentary use of language. But your reaction, if I do this, is to do this. Reaction, it's just there. A response, to me, is something that has been created and prepared so that when I do this, you do a particular thing. It's a programming. So, and you have programmings available that you can subtly move. Again, one of my very favorite exchanges in this wonderful fight, the second one, both are wonderful fights, beautiful fights. The second one, Dustin throws a leg kick, Conor slides out. Conor throws the left hand. That was a planned thing. Worked a couple times. He was hit others. He checked others. But this was a planned response. Kick comes, slide back, throw the left hand. And Dustin had programmed himself. Left hand comes, check it with the right hand. Pull, check it with the right hand. Slight adjustment happened in that fight based on a response that had been pre-programmed in Conor, that when a right counter, a checking right counter happens on the left, that he pulls, draws, and then goes back to his own right hand, going deeper. Left, you go, I try my left, and I go to my right. So layers of responses are layered on top of each other, right? It's wonderful. These guys are brilliant fighters. These are brilliant martial artists. Thoughts on Burns' approach to MMA compared to Maya's approach to MMA? I don't know their honest approaches. They're such small sample size. There's only 20 Damian Maia fights, and I've only seen 8 or 10 Burns fights. That's just not enough. I need to really be in the gym with them to really look at it. How they fought on particular nights against other people, I don't know well enough. I'm only a fucking purple belt. You know what I mean? I've only been studying jiu-jitsu since 2006. So I've only been studying jiu-jitsu 15 years. I can't truthfully comment on Damian Maya's game, not with the understanding. It is impossible. That's why I talk about the game is to become to people will say, how do I become a martial arts analyst? I'll be like, try to become a martial arts master. That's how, right? I cannot truthfully analyze Damian Maya's game. So I don't know how the fuck a white belt can. I've learned enough to understand how complex between my 15 years and Damian's 30 years, how much information I'm missing. And it's benefit to all of us to understand how little we know. Why don't more combatants attack with a combination approach? Because I would throw a combination if I knew you weren't doing anything, right? If you weren't going to do anything, I'd throw 7 punches and kicks, but you're going to do stuff. And when I'm being, and Faraz likes to, I heard him yelling it when his brother was fighting, and it's something they talk about a lot: attack and defend, attack and defend. So we're not thinking about only attacking, we are also defending. And if we have elevated our ability to the difference between me and you high, if I have to give some of that up to also allot some of my mental resources to being able to defend in real time at the time, we can do that. But the more I attack, the more vulnerable I am. So, and the more vulnerable I feel. So I hesitate to throw 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punches, because the ones who are, and again, like that combination with Dustin and Connor, neither is attacking or defending. They are both just living in the flow of it, pushing and pulling with each other with the flow of their fight. And that's the idea. So I'm not throwing a combination. The way we think of it is a pre-programmed sentence. Think of a strike as a word and a combination as a sentence. My jab is hi. My right hand is fucker. Here's a punch, right? So hi, fucker. Hi, fucker, here's a punch, right? To say that sentence, and you're going to interrupt me, or I have to deal with something else. If I revert back to a programmed sentence, or if I say, what's your phone number? 4165, and you lay it out. Now you're asking your mind to commit to something. And in particular types of physical and memory training, they call it chunking. If you are chunking out a combination, it's not the same as flowing out there and allowing it to happen when it comes. So I throw the punch, Dustin moves and counters, I slide out and do this. This flow is more ideal. And that flow is difficult to do until you can feel it and see it all. So it's a higher level, it's a higher level. It's dangerous. Does McGregor take the no taunt approach? No, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, maybe. If you don't believe it's has a lot of value to yourself, don't do it. If you're doing it only in hopes of undermining the other, it's a waste of time. Uppercut. Yeah, I like the way he throws that. But again, it's just a tool. These are just tools. That's like Prince has a beautiful guitar. It's just a fucking guitar. The notes are special, are moving, right? Why do you think Connor doesn't care? He loves fighting, doesn't need to do it anymore. It's financially set for life. I'm not saying he doesn't care, but I'm saying you must practice releasing. And so what Svitovic Orama is talking about, as well, I just said, if you joined, I just said over time, you must, if you're going to be successful, and I don't just mean Beyonce and Conor McGregor, all of us, you must release being concerned with the opinions of others. You have to. This is a primary driver to a happy life. And you will not be successful. And I don't just mean in a UFC fucking cage or on creating Facebook. I don't, or being a queen of England. I mean any of us. We will not be successful if we are concerned with the opinions of others. Doesn't mean don't worry about. You still don't want to offend people. You don't want to hurt people. You don't want to infringe on them. But their opinions cannot matter to you. That's their trip, right? Your opinion shouldn't matter to you. Over time, the happiest and most successful people even start to rid themselves of their own opinions, because your opinions are traps. My opinion pops up. Who's going to win, Dustin or Connor? Oh, well, Dustin's got those leg kicks, bro. And, like Connor's got that big left hand. I got Dustin in too. That opinion formed. I didn't do any thinking. I didn't do any working. I didn't do any planning. I didn't set time to it. I didn't research. I didn't study. It just popped up. If I honor that, I just stopped learning. Now I'm going to look for only things that will fucking reinforce it. My opinion is a trap. Never mind the opinions of others. That's their shit. Your own brain is hard enough to deal with. You don't need to be worried about what's going on in there. How important is it to reinvent oneself? Constant. It is not. I'm glad you asked. Is relevant for us, but this question doesn't even apply to the best of the best in the world. There is no themselves. They're fluid, liquid, ever-changing. There is no Beyonce. There is no Conor McGregor. They are constantly changing. Whether we see it or not is irrelevant to the truth and to them. You cannot be successful over time in life, again, all our lives, if you are not constantly changing. What's his name? Bob Dylan said, if you're not, I'm paraphrasing, I think, he not busy being born is busy dying. That's the fucking truth. That's just not some crazy old guy, poet. That's the truth. He not busy being born is busy dying. Constantly, must be constantly. And change their style in one training camp. They don't change their style in one training camp. You must be changing your thinking. You must be changing your living, your sleeping, your breathing, your understanding of the world. It's not about what tools you choose. It's not about your stance. It's not about, how much time you spend on sprinting and recovering to change your anaerobic system. It's not any of that. It's fucking this. This is the martial arts journey. And this is the truth. This is the important thing. This is life. What's the fucking point of watching Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier fight if we don't understand that? And so we must rid ourselves of what we hear. I'm gonna turn the sound on because I fucking love Joe Rogan, but I turn off the sound most of the time because there are narratives, storytelling, buzzwords, sound bites, conclusions that are automatically drawn in the realm of sports broadcasting, particularly when there's certain rhythm, cadence, timing that we think is our job. I have to fight it. I was doing Jorge's Gamebred MMA, and I found myself at one point talking about how something was happening at the end as my brain was trying to figure out how to wrap it because the director was going like this. I go, yeah, man, this is going to be dynamite. And I'm thinking as it goes away, I'm like, what the fuck would you say that for? That's nonsense. It's not going to be dynamite. That's shit that lazy broadcasters use. Oh man, this one's going to be fireworks. This guy's an NCAA, wrestler's got unreal takedown defense, man. If you keep that space, nonsense, fucking nonsense. You have to fight to not do that. And it's way harder when you got a producer in your ear and you got all this shit happening. So the shit you hear, and it's nobody's fault. It's not the fault of the UFC broadcasters. It's not the fault of the NFL. It's not the fault of CNN or MSNBC or Fox. This is just how our culture has created this sort of structural, formulaic, ritualistic way of speaking, which is forcing us, it's dominating our thinking, and now we think the world actually works the way that television talks about the world, and it doesn't. So yes, they are in a constant state of reinvention. That is the life of a martial artist, an artist, a craftsman. Anyone successful that you see on TV, fucking Mark Cuban might sit there in the same suit on the fucking Shark Tank saying the same things, but in his real life, he is in a constant state of change. We must all be that. We must be that. It is imperative. This is our purpose. This is our fucking purpose in life, is to constantly change, learn, grow, dispel what you used to believe, become smarter, kinder, more patient. This is our fucking job. The truth is, the guy who uses it better, always. Yeah, I love you too, Christian. Your haircut is gorgeous, Robin. Don't lie. Yeah, but I did actually get a haircut, but it's nonsense. It's for me, right? People think my hair's stupid. I don't care. Somebody actually said this. They were like, if you don't care what people think, why do you color your hair? No, the fact that I color my hair is proof that I don't care what people think. Ask 100 people who watch me, they'd be like, "Why does that idiot color his hair?" It's like, because I don't care what you think. Because I want to. I like it. Is Poirier an unsung great with his wins? Yeah, fuck yeah. If he's not being sung, he is unsung. I'm singing him. I think Poirier is great, and he's fucking such a great example of a true martial artist, right? So Poirier and McGregor, and you can judge McGregor all you want, but they are both examples of the path. Poirier has had difficult periods of his life. You know, I remember going on a stream after he lost to Khabib and trying to, and hoping that somebody would share this with him when I said it. But it was like he was so tortured, he was so upset that he had somehow let himself down and burned his chance. And I was like, what he cannot understand, and there's no shame in this, is he is a genius. And Khabib is the once in a lifetime that is that much even better. And that's okay. That's real life. Being the second best in this era on planet Earth, if Khabib was born 20 years later or 20 years earlier, you'd be the number one or the number two. If instead somebody who was even more brilliant in the 20s was born now, they would have learned different, you'd be number three. If you were born 10 years later, you could have learned in it. It's just where we are. It's okay to be the third best on planet Earth or the eighth best in human history. We're not all gonna be number one. And he's grown and he's changed and he's changed his priorities. I've had such great conversations, short conversations with him, but great ones. I asked him about a fight he had in Quebec, Canada, where he was getting lit up. And I'm like, well, you could just jab, low kick that guy to death and then take him down and submit him. He's like, I like fighting this way. Now he will fight that way and he can fight that way. And sometimes he does, but he doesn't need to do it now. It's about life and doing great things with your life and changing the world and contributing something benefit and being a good father and being a good husband and being a good friend and training partner. That's what a martial artist does. And if you want to judge Conor McGregor while you're at it, his challenges and his setbacks and his success and his failure and his rises and his falls are all part of the journey too. If you aren't somebody who goes through shitty times, you have family members who do, or you have friends who do, who are their own worst enemy for 4 months or 6 months, or make a mistake or choose a bad path and then have to find their way back. And that's inspiring too, right? This is, God, I'm so excited about this fight now. Didn't know Francis had only one fight left in his contract. Him being a free agent is good. Free agents, these guys having control over their own lives is a very good thing for all of them. I don't think the short turnaround will favor I think the short turnaround will favor McGregor. All right. I mean, Robin looking like he runs several porn sites. I don't know what that means, but no. I run several mixed martial arts platforms. I love Misha Tate's take on Dustin, predicting second fight. She said, improved defense, did one thing, covering with what. I'm not mad at her or you, but you could say 29 things. Chael says 29 things about 29 fights, and 2 of them are exact. You know, you cannot predict these things. Just because you do something and it sometimes works, and then if you see it, so does the opponent. Like this is a game. Right now it's prediction time, guys. Who do you got? Well, it's all just television mechanism. It's shit that is making us dumber. And I'm not playing it. As a former fighter, what was your mindset after a loss? What was your mindset after a rematch? I only had one rematch. I won both the fights. And the second one, I found myself in the cage realizing I wasn't mentally stimulated enough. So I kind of wound myself out. And then after a loss, it's devastating. It's devastating. Part of the reason winning is so great is because losing is so incredibly painful. You must be honest, but it's very difficult to be honest when you blatantly failed. I said earlier, and I'm not bragging, it was a very kind thing my coach Evan Boris said today, but he was like, Michael Chandler, Anthony Johnson, Mark Hominick, like there's a handful of all his time training, there's a handful of people he ever saw work harder than me, which was an incredibly kind thing to say. But I lost too. And when you work hard and fail, you must go back. You did not work hard. You did not prepare. Your flaws in your thinking, your flaws in your focus, your flaws in your courage, your flaws in your mind, like your flaws in your ability to execute freely. These are your flaws. So you must admit them, and then that makes you better over time. 9 out of 10 of us don't look for our weaknesses, acknowledge them, accept them, come to peace with them, and then use them to get better in life. 9 out of 10 of us don't. I have done that somewhat, and it's made my life better. Burns, losing's a part of it. How you deal with it is individual to the person, but I cannot predict. I don't know him, so I can't predict what he may do. Could you share your opinions on what advantages Francis could have with his current situation contractually while negotiating with the UFC? No, no, I won't share my opinions. What I can tell you is, if I'm him and I'm his people, I fight that contract out. I just fight this fight, take what I can get, go fight whoever they give me, and get the fuck out. And go take offers from Bellator and the PFL. And then if I want to fight with for the UFC still, I go back to them and say, "This are my offers, and here are my terms. And if you don't, then don't." And the freedom is the key thing. The UFC belt doesn't represent what it did 10 years ago, because there's 1,000 of them. There's going to be another one. His belt isn't even going to represent what it did 2 months ago, right? So over time, the need to fight there's out of 1,000 people who watch fighting, 850 of them are like, bro, everything else is a B league, but they're dumb, right? They don't understand what they are. And I fucking analyze. I'll be analyzing Conor McGregor versus Poirier this weekend. I love the big fights, but what they are is they have been affected by a marketing message. The marketing message of the biggest mainstream fighting corporation is, we are the biggest, we are the best, you got to fight here if you're going to be something. That's not true. Like, not anybody in the fight game thinks that's true. None of the managers, none of the coaches, none of the fighters. Michael Chandler fought in Bellator, lost to Pitbull, knocked out Dan Hooker. It's all, Pitbull, Patricio Pitbull was a 2-division champ in Bellator at the same time as Henry Cejudo was a 2-division champ in the UFC. They split rounds 50-50 when they trained together. Everybody knows this. Anyone real in the fight business knows this. Again, what the audience might think, oh, Francis went to the B League. Let him. You can't allow the opinions of others to shape you. You could make more money by fighting out your contract and having them have to come back to you with a new thing that suits your needs. And if it doesn't, you can go elsewhere. And it's your life, right? Also, now we're at a point where, because there's so much going on with these boxing things, you can get $10 million to fight fucking Jake Paul. And why the fuck not? You know what I mean? And they'll make you a partner. Instead of like, here's your money, do what we tell you. By the way, we're making another interim belt. If you don't like it, well, your manager sucks. Like, that's no way to do business in fucking 2021, where the whole world looks at every exchange. Right? That's an old way to do business. It's not. New way to do business is, Francis Ngannou is this really valuable guy. We'd like to make him a partner in this fight with fucking Logan Paul. He's not, Logan Paul is like, I'm going to make $20 million. I might get killed, but let's do it. That could happen. After that, if that grows you even more with the mainstream people, PFL, Bellator, one championship, somebody else gives him 5 times as much. Eddie Alvarez made 10 times as much going to Asia. So this is your life, right? It's your life. If you are Francis Ngannou, or nobody has to follow the path that everybody else thinks is the path. You go out and create a new path. 4 years ago, I had no job. Now I got 5 jobs, and I get to talk about fighting in my own way. I made my own path. You can make your own path. Like, they're out there. They look intimidating, but they're actually easier if you have something to offer. Francis Ngannou clearly does. What age did you start getting tattooed? They're not like many anymore. They're just all blended, but I have a number of other ones. My 20s. David Goggins has good insight into not caring with others. Cool. I like David Goggins. I've never met him, but we have friends in common. So a couple more questions, and then came here for MMA insights and left with a new outlook on life. See, this is what we love. How do you change your life? Change your thinking, and you change your life slowly. You look at, what would my life look like in 10 years if I made tiny changes now? Just tiny. If I started, I'm going to go for a long walk right now. Come back, exercise and eat slightly better. That tiny thing today, keep that thing going for a while, add another tiny thing, read a couple of books, think about, stop watching the news. The number one thing you can do to improve your life immediately is stop consuming all news. That's the number one thing you can do. My prediction, Conor's going to work. Yep, kicking, punching. Makes a bold statement. Yep. Thoughts on freeform combat? Which fights are you excited about? All of them. I like them all. Pitbull versus McKee. Fuck. I'm probably going to be in LA for that. And I'm pretty excited about it. If Pitbull does knock out AJ, which, God, it's got to be 40-60 one way or the other, then how do you, Pitbull's one of the greatest fighters in the world, probably ever. And if not everyone understands that, that's sad for them. I feel for them because he's a brilliant, but AJ's real. He's a next generation real. Taking so much knowledge from ex-cons, addicts, etc. Used to better myself of going down a very hard road. Yeah, you got to make mistakes. You got to learn. There's lessons everywhere. Yeah, it's okay, man. Have random comments. We do that here. Could McGregor beat Oliveira? Of course he could. Would he? I don't know. Hello from Kuwait. Haven't seen you in years. Boo Yassi, my friend. How are you? Do you think McGregor will use kicks of his own? Yeah, sure. But it's our thoughts of these strategies. He will kick the legs. Of course he will. But it's all, leg kicks are not going to necessarily. They could play a big role in it, but they're something we're obsessed with. Like punching and kicking. Fighters do not sit there and go, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Because if that doesn't go well, you're fucked. It's like, I can't let Damian Maia take me down. Well, what if he takes you down? Okay, I guess I lost. Like, you have to be more open to allowing things to happen. Yeah, he's going to kick his legs. They'll both kick each other's legs a bit. But do you think there's any truth in saying over and over McGregor isn't motivated enough? Yeah, no. We're all different. How aren't there 2,000 people watching? I don't know. I don't want more people. I want the right people, and it was a really key, again, I'm going to go on a tangent, but for me to build a business that is a really very, very successful in my own ways business, where I get to, the main success for me is being free to do the things I like. I get to analyze Bellator, Karate Combat, a bunch of different cool stuff on YouTube, PFL, One Championship, all of these things. Get to make my own content. I get to do things exactly my own way with my own language with very little rules. That's incredibly successful for me. And the key to it wasn't, people would often say, if you want more followers, bro, you gotta, I don't want more followers. I want the right human beings to find value in the unique thing that I like to do. Hey, thanks, man. And so don't look for more people. Treasure the people that you have. If people consume your art or your work, if you could give one piece of advice for an O&O aspiring fighter, what is it? Be present. Be present. Be present in training. Be deeply present through every step of the process. Before you know it, you won't fight anymore. I remember my very first fight. I was taking it all in purposefully, and had a great fight. Really, I just fucking laser burnt every part of the experience into my mind, because it's going to change you too. It isn't just winning is great. It's one of the primary things, but that's not the whole point. You want to be a better human for having taken these journeys. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more fighting on the ground. I suspect, pretty good chance of that. But and that will be something Conor is very prepared to do. Also, if and when Dustin goes to take him down, watch for Conor to look to reverse rather than just fight, rather than just defend. Try to reverse and be on top. That would be a surprise to a lot of people, which is good. Surprises are important. So, Crumb Petria, I will tell you this. McGregor stopped Dustin Poirier once already. So I just leave, he can't have no chance to do it. He literally did it. In your opinion, what do you think are the intangibles which are being overlooked? I mean, the hierarchy of defense was our conversation here. So the words mainstream media get really abused because it's used as a tool for people who have other media to try to seem like they are better or different. Don't listen to the mainstream media. Listen to my website. You know how you should know that you could listen to my news website? It's because I'm telling you the other guys are liars. They're liars. How do you know that I'm not a liar? Because I told you they're liars. It's just a tool. It's a manipulation. Thinking that the mainstream media is out to get you, but whoever tells you that is to be trusted. It's just such a low level of manipulation. Here's the truth, and this isn't to be rude. Media doesn't know anything about martial arts because they don't do martial arts. They know about the presentation, the sports presentation of combat, which is not the truth. That's what they know about. So what are the intangible? They're overlooking, they're missing all the information. They're missing the most vital information, all of it. Like 97%, and I'm creating that number. It could be 99.8. It could be 93. It's probably not a measurable, it's not a quantitative thing, but like 97% of the information is only available within the experience. What happens is when you don't have that experience, you have 3 or 4% of it, and then you start acting as if you have knowledge about it, and then you start to fill in the blanks. And every time you fill in more of the blanks of shit you don't understand, you are creating it. You're inventing explanations. You get further and further from the truth. So the point that we're, oh my God, he's got crazy power, he's got a crazy chin, that's not real, right? It's not real. Somebody just said, no disrespect, Connor's got zero chance to finish Poirier because Gaethje couldn't do it. He already did it once, right? And there's no relationship between that. If nobody's ever been finished, somebody can finish them. If somebody's finished everybody that night, they might not. Like these things are the least important truths. They're the things they can talk about. And they're not the deeply important things. I thought McGregor did very well with body shots. Yeah, they want to do everything. We will look and go, what about kicks? What about punches? What about shoulders? How do you do it with the left hand? But they just flow. We are having conversations that are not reflective of the realities of what's happening. And when you say, what about the media? The media is us. I have good friends in media that cover mixed martial arts. They do a lot of great stuff. They tell stories, they like reveal these people, they have conversations with them, allowing them to speak and draw interesting elements out of them, but they don't know about martial arts. They watch televised sport presentation of a complex art form, and the televised sport presentation is lying to us constantly, not intentionally. It's just the nature of television. In boxing, there are defensive fighters first. In MMA, why is defense not as pronounced? It is. I don't know if there really are. I mean, the truth is, defense is the most important part. And in fact, martial arts is self-defense. If I don't protect myself, I may not stay there long enough to win regardless. So, defense is really important. It may not be discussed as much, and because it isn't, we don't think that's there. But in gyms with coaches, with the conversations in reality, not on a sports broadcast, but in reality, are about defensive first. Most coaches are trying to teach fighters to prioritize self-defense and then attacking. That's the truth, but it doesn't get discussed. So it doesn't sound, you don't hear it. How did younger fighters not let outside opinions affect you? Over time. You have to just over time, slowly release it. Meditation does help. Meditation helps. You learn to release thoughts, not honor them. For a lot of, you can shut off social media, but that's not hearing them. That's not the same as not letting them affect you. Don't go obsess over them or feel the need to read them, and over time you do just do it. Like, what's the one? Reddit. I used to go to Reddit, but like I'd pop in there once a week and 9 different things would talk about how stupid I am, or like how little I know, or like how awful I am, or whatever. And I eventually was like, I'm not going here. This is awful. I'm not gonna, like, that'd be like going to a bar where everyone's rude to you, or like going to the park where everybody like treats you bad. Like, I'm just not going there. So over time, you do avoid, like conflict, because it's unnecessary. It's time consuming. That's a big one. If you're going to in this case, a young fighter, but whatever it is you're going to do, if you're going to do anything great, it's going to take a lot of time. You don't have time to waste, and you certainly can't waste it. So if you start with that truth, I cannot succeed and waste time worrying about others think of me. It's called opportunity cost. Every minute I have thinking about that is a minute I cannot be thinking about my app, my fight, my whatever the thing I'm working on is, right? So you have to start with that reality, and then you start working on it. You start reading books about your own mind. You start reading books about yourself. You start to research what is the ego and what are the philosophical. You have to fucking do the work. That's how younger fighters not, and other people, all of us, not let outside opinions affect us. We live in a world, there's always challenges, there's always pressures and stresses in every society. In ours, this nonstop barrage of negative opinion is a modern one. It may change in 5 years, might just be way out of fashion to be negative about shit like that. But right now, it's bombarding us. So you have to do the work. If we lived in a world of saber-toothed tigers, we'd fucking sharpen things. If we live in a world that's coming at us with barrage of negativity, you have to do the fucking work. To do the work. I think Conor's career is over if he loses. It's up to him, right? No? Yes. That's his call. Like, certainly he can fight again if he wants to. Everyone, thanks, Ian. Everybody should live their own life. When we see, well, is this guy, that's a person. It's very difficult for us to think, and I'm not Bonzo. Conor's a human. He's a human just like you. He's sitting somewhere right now, you know, eating and like talking to his wife on the phone about their kid. You know, his career, he can fight if he wants to, and the opinion of others, if they don't matter to him, it has no bearing. So it'll be his. And why is that good to see? Why is it good to think that? Because that's true for you too. You will do what you choose if you take control over your life. You're healthy. You've got a good focus. You have a basic idea of what your goals are. You work towards things. You accept failure and learn from it. You start to have you start to have a little control over your own life, and then you have control over these things. So is Conor's career over if he loses? Up to him. What happens to you if you lose your job? Up to you. You're going to freak out? You can. You're going to go back and study something? You're going to get a small job, just enough to pay your bills while you work on something you love? All these things are up to you. We all control our own lives way more than we think we do. And if we project that and realize that truth on famous people and people you see on the internet and television or whatever, you can extrapolate that back to yourself. We all have way more control than we believe we do. Thanks, man. Robin, a lot of nice things. Thank you for the life lessons. I learned a lot about from my life. I hope it's useful. I learned a lot about by studying martial arts and living the path. And so hopefully some of it's useful. Conor that night was incredible. That was something very special. And Eddie's like fucking one of my very favorites. I was there. I think I was there. I've been there for a lot of those. I wonder if I was there for that one. I think so. Stop. Oh, you mean like stopping with leg kicks? Yeah. So what? Stop them however you got to stop them. It's not the leg kick game. Have you ever seen Warrior on HBO? No, I haven't. Based on the writings of Bruce Lee? No, but I will check it out. What was your favorite post-fight meal? Actually, my favorite meals were all post-weigh-ins. And it was anything. Actually, I would eat a little time. Once I weighed myself and found out that like I was, 0.8, 0.3, whatever under, I would stand on the scale with an empty bottle of water and weigh myself. And I was like 0.6 under. So my coach would just put a little water in. I was 0.4 under. And whether or not this is the right thing to eat at this time, I didn't care. And we weren't so obsessed over it like people are now. Could be to our detriment, but I had 2 wedges of orange and a little bit of water, like about 20 minutes before weigh-in, and just gently, like, is the greatest thing I've ever eaten. My last fight, and a little sip of water in that thing is just the greatest thing I've ever eaten. Yeah, I mean, truth, right? Do you think Ryan Hall will fight for a UFC title? I do not. I'd like to see that. He's fucking cool. And he's a really smart dude, really cool guy. But no, I think a lot of the factors that get you to do that, he doesn't possess. I think he's just a brilliant martial artist. I don't know if he cares about titles. I don't care about that. I mean, wouldn't it be cool? Like, I got this little belt from a small organization, and I fucking put it out here. It represents my whole career. So I certainly can't, and it's a small Canadian title, right? Of course, I'm sure he would be proud to have it, but he's on a journey. He's on a martial arts journey. And so that journey, he'll do great things. A trinket doesn't have to be part of it. Do you believe Khabib, with a 2-hour gap in between, could beat Conor and Dustin within the same night? I don't know. It depends if he got injured. Dana doesn't like honest journalists. A lot of people who like to control the narrative do not like honest journalists. Did you watch Rise? And I did not. I did not. There's so many fights. Like I've got 12 episodes of Karate Combat I'm working on. I got 25 Bellators a year I'm working on. I'm doing some stuff for my friends at Wave and Haymakers on PFL and One. And this is so many that it's difficult for me. I have to end up missing some, or I wouldn't have time to also work and have a life. As the hierarchy of defense is the objective to balance offense. In the hierarchy of defense is the objective to balance your offense. I mean, not necessarily, right? A balanced offense, like in a perfect world, I never get hit and I do one thing to you and I win, right? Like that's perfect. And that is an element that Connor brought early, like just land the one, and they call it kill shot in some things. We don't want to call it that in competitive martial arts, but that idea that we can end it with a shot is an ideal thing, or that Damian Maya can end it with no punches. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Not getting hit is a pretty fundamental thing if we can do it, because we can fight more. We can fight more often. We can learn more by fighting more. We gain more experience. There's so much to it. Hey, thanks, man. Who are from your favorite fighters right now? I still love watching Cub Swanson move. I mean, Stephen Thompson. I really enjoyed Anthony Pettis' last fight. What is one of the hardest martial techniques or concepts that you learned? The hardest, physically, there's a lot of things, but anything can be learned with practice, right? I think the hardest concepts are like philosophical acceptance. Something happens, it's good or it's bad. Just accept it as a truthful thing. Um, you know, um, patience, patience. Like these are the really important things. Punches and kicks and knees and elbows and chokes. These can all be learned with work, but how do you? It's not about. And I've said this many times. Not about the guitar or the paintbrush. It's about the notes, or it's about the flow, and it's the same in fighting at the higher levels. Whether you throw a calf kick or whether you elbow a guy in the head is conceptually the same. Everything's possible in your life when you believe everything. You start with belief, but then you work. Yeah, everything is possible, and you go. Like you said, life. There's a lot we can do, a lot more than we think we can. Age and recovery are limiting. Have you thought about how that will change with future medical tech? Yeah. Here's the thing about age, right? Like, there's a 17-year-old jujitsu kid I was watching the other day, and it was like, holy fuck, he's so good. Why is he so good? Okay, they learn different. Okay, Olympic gymnasts, they have 17-year-old Olympic gymnasts. Why is that? Okay, what happens as they get older? Their bodies don't move as well. The maximum performance, like all of a sudden you start looking at the advantages of being 21, but then in fighting, strategy, knowledge, experience, you know, flow and finesse and all these things that comes with age. So there's a pocket in there somewhere, and those two things will change. So I think it's Sylvester Stallone's birthday today or yesterday. 75. That guy could definitely still fight, but there's going to be things that damage. Counselor, thank you. Does Wonder Boy retire with the belt? Ooh, good question. Wonder Boy could definitely win. If he wins this fight, he could beat Usman for sure. He might not. Usman could beat him, knock him out, finish him, punch him out from the top, but he absolutely could. Yes, I forget Sean's opponent his name briefly, but I commentated one of his fights at CES MMA, and I think it's on Fight Pass. If you put in his name and CES, I think it'll come up. You can see it. He's good. Yeah, he's good. Sean O'Malley's very talented, and he's smart. And I think he's going to keep doing well. I don't know about this fight. I haven't sort of looked at it. Chris Moutinho. Yes, he's good. He was very good. Love your content. Possible to get a black belt in BJJ if you start at age 38? Of course. No previous experience, but in good shape. Of course it is, first of all. Second of all, don't fucking think about black belts. Fuck black belts. Second degree black belts, brown belts. Irrelevant. Begin. What if I told you no? Oh, okay, well, then I'm not going to start. Fuck black belts. It's not about a black belt. It's about learning. It's about growing. It's about evolving. It's about gaining knowledge and experience and changing. Start. but yes, you can easily get a black belt. You know, easily. There's 60-year-olds that started who achieved the rank of black belt before they were 67. Lots of them. Yes, of course, but irrelevant. The key to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, being a black belt or a world champion or anything, the key is beginning. The key is starting. And then the next key is going the next day. And then the next one is keeping that up for a couple of months. I'm not mad at you, but what has been some of the fond memories of visiting various masters? Fuck, so many. I got to get off. I got 2 appointments. So many. I spent a couple hours with John Danaher once, and I had Gordon Ryan and God. Sometimes I fuck up names, and I know him really well too. He fights in one. It just. Anyways, Gordon Ryan and that other awesome smaller guy who fights in one, who I've done a couple of breakdowns of, but his name escapes me. I got a name thing, and it's happened. It's probably due to being hit in the head and or thyroid. For some reason, it comes out in names. Gary Tonin. It came up just as I swear I said it before you put it up. But yeah, he had Gary and Gordon, and I did a thing with him. We were shooting something, and he just had the 2 of them demoing shit for me. And then I asked him a bunch of questions and stuff, and I was like, fuck, I want to spend a month with him. He invited me to go to Japan once when Gary Toney was like, yeah, if you want to come. I was like, oh, fuck. But of course, at that time, that was very costly. Now I could do it. My business, I have a successful business. I could go. So maybe I will in the future. But yeah, that guy, there's a lot of layers. Faraz, of course, is quite brilliant. I've got to spend a lot of time with Faraz. Duke Rufus, actually, I really enjoy learning from Duke. Henry Hooft held mitts for me last time I saw him at Bellator. That was really cool. Mumbai, man, good vibes to you, my friend. I've only been to Africa once. I commentated fights in Senegal. It was awesome. Okay, I gotta go. So to recap, today we discussed the hierarchy of defense as it relates. If you're just joining us, go back and watch. Please share. Also, quickly, people ask me a lot about how do I get involved in doing MMA stuff or fight stuff or martial arts stuff on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. The most valuable thing to people right now is somebody who can go in and find or edit, either in chunks or in short edited storytelling chunks, 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute videos that get to a point that can be shared on social. Anyone wants to do that for me, go ahead and make them. Reach out to me, hit me on Twitter and say you did it, and I'll share them and I'll link to you. Right? Anybody wants to try it. I'm not picking spots. I'm not asking anybody. I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want anyone to be my staff. But if anybody wants to do that, feel free. Cut your favorite 59-second, 2 minute and 19-second. Those are 2 good lengths. Or 5, 6, 7 minutes. Chop them out. Put a little logo. Do whatever you want. Hit me up on Twitter. Tell me you did it. I'll follow you back, and then I'll share it for you if editing is your thing. But so today, hierarchy of defense as it applies to calf kicks, which we were talking about, but also shoulder checks, elbows, punches, knees, whatever. The lowest level of defense is take it in a strong way. Brace for the kick, take the punch off the top of your head, get kicked in the thigh, but put weight on it, take it. The second worst, when people seem to overrank this as one of the best, it is the second worst type of defense, is to block it. Punch is coming, I block it. I'm still taking damage. I'm taking damage to my hand. Hit yourself in the arm, it fucking hurts, right? You take a kick off the forearms, oh, I blocked it. No, you got fucking kicked in the arms. It's the worst. You get kicked in the head, you block it, but you still take the damage of the jarring to your neck. You take damage. The third worst and third best, redirect. Maybe we'll parry, maybe we'll sweep the kick away. That's our third best choice. Next best, evade, especially if we can evade the technique in such a position that perhaps you're off balance, but I am in balance to strike. And then the number one, intercept. You're throwing the calf kick and I hit you, right? You're going to strike with me and I catch you as your strike is coming in, as my strike is coming towards you, I get hit with something. Intercept, primary. There's other elements to all of these. I did not come up with this, but for some reason, this very simple concept and thousands of others are not discussed because we're busy saying, oh my God, amazing, huge right hand, crazy chin, takedown defense. Oh my God, this is the greatest. Dish out some ground and pound. It's all over. Wow, we got a new whatever in the lightweight division. This is just where we're trapped right now. It's not anybody's fault. I get to do some commentary all the time. People are like, why do you talk so weird? No, they're talking weird. They're talking weird. We just got used to it. This has been a slice. Thank you. Please share it. Like I said, if you want to chop some short pieces, 2 minutes and 19 seconds or less, good for Twitter. 59 seconds or less, good for a lot of things. TikTok, whatever. 5 minutes or less, anything. If you feel like it, go ahead, hit me up. I will share it and I'll link people and I'll recommend you as somebody who likes to edit stuff. If you don't, no biggie. Thank you, everybody. I'm definitely going to go up right after I go into Sports Center here in Canada on Saturday night to talk about all that stuff. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Robin Black. This is there. I don't know where you're watching this now. These days, StreamYard lets you stream in a bunch of places simultaneously. But if you want, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit notifications, and then you'll see the next time. I may be up between now and then, maybe with some new thoughts, because this was really fun. But if at the very least, for sure, I am going to come up about 1:15 right after Sports Center. I'm going to sit down here, crack a cold one. I won't drink caffeinated sugar like I am right now. This is Red Bull. I don't like drinking that stuff, too much sugar, but I only had one coffee this morning and I got a lot of shit to do and I really wanted to sit down here with you guys. Yeah, please follow. I'll be up right after their fight and we'll chat about it. It'll be fun. There's usually trolls at that time, a lot of drunk people. They want to yell at each other. Oh, you picked Poirier, bro. He got smoked. Oh, you like McGregor and he got his leg smashed in. He's over. Like you'll see a lot more of that. That's a little disheartening. So I might not be able to like put up as many questions, but we'll have something fun to talk about. Like I said, please share this stuff. It means a lot to me. Thanks so much. Thank you. Really, honestly. This is useful, really helpful for me. It's very difficult that, when I'm talking about how the mainstream, and again, saying mainstream media is stupid is a cheap way to try to put yourself over. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But the corporate broadcasts, they dominate our thinking. So you need places. I need to sit here and talk different and be able to think differently and pontificate. People used to just shit all over this type of thinking. Now people seem to really like it. I'm also slowly better at it and a little more concise, a little less weird. So, yeah, I really appreciate everybody. It means a lot to me. It's a wonderful thing to be able to have this little environment to do something and people give a shit. And that's really, really kind. I have a busy day. Watch my Instagram at Robin Black Martial Arts for some other stuff. I'm going to dust off a couple old Connor pieces and see if I got an old Poirier one I can share too. Much love. Bink or Enjoy the Hostilities or any of the other shirts, if you want them, they're at shoprobinblack.com. Thanks a lot. Until I see you Saturday after the fights, enjoy the hostilities, my friends.